I only lived in that dorm for 1 semester, but something happened there that I've never been able to explain. For weeks, I kept hearing a strange sound outside my door, late at night. At first, I thought it was just the old building, pipes, doors, the usual dorm noise. But then something else happened. I found photos on my phone. Photos I never took. I was a freshman at the time, first year of college, and I had just moved into the oldest dorm building on campus. The place had been built sometime in the early 70s. You could tell. The hallways were narrow, dim. The fluorescent lights flickered constantly, and the carpet smelled like they had absorbed decades of spilled coffee and cheap detergent. My room was on the 3rd floor, right at the end of the hallway, next to the emergency stairwell. At first, I didn't think much about the location. It was actually quieter than most of the other rooms, far from the elevators. Most nights, the hallway outside my door was completely empty, quiet, sometimes too quiet. The first strange thing happened about 3 weeks after I moved in. It was around 2 in the morning. I was sitting at my desk working on a paper. That's when I heard it, a sound in the hallway. Click. I ignored it. Dorm buildings make weird noises. Doors closing, pipes shifting, vending machines humming somewhere in the distance. Then I heard it again. Click. This time I recognized the sound, but I couldn't place it. Not yet. I stood up and opened my door. The hallway was empty. Fluorescent lights buzzed quietly overhead. Every door was closed. No footsteps. No voices. Nothing. Just that long hallway. After about 10 seconds, I went back inside. I told myself it was probably nothing. Maybe someone closing a door further down the hall. Eventually, I forgot about it, but the sound came back. A few nights later. Then again the next week. Always late at night. Always when the hallway should have been empty. And every time I checked, there was no one there. No movement. No sound. Just silence. Eventually, I stopped opening the door. I figured it had to be something mechanical. Old buildings make strange noises. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. The real problem started about a month later. One afternoon, I was sitting in my room, scrolling through photos on my phone, waiting for a friend to text me back. That's when I noticed something strange. There were pictures in my camera roll. Pictures I didn't remember taking. At first, I thought maybe I had saved them online. But when I opened the first one, my stomach dropped. It was a picture of me. I was sitting at my desk, exactly where I was sitting right now. The angle was wrong. The photo had been taken from outside my window. I stared at the screen, trying to convince myself I was misunderstanding something. Then I opened the next photo. And the next. There were 5 of them, all taken on different nights. In every picture, I was inside my room, sometimes sitting at my desk, sometimes lying on my bed, watching something on my laptop. And every photo had been taken from outside, through the window. My room was on the 3rd floor. There was no balcony, no ledge, nothing someone could stand on, just a straight drop to the courtyard below. I walked slowly to the window, pulled the curtain aside, and looked down. The courtyard was empty. Students were walking across campus further away, but no one was near the building. Then I checked the timestamps. Every photo had been taken late at night. Around the same time I usually heard that sound. That's when I realized what the noise probably was. Click. A camera shutter. That night I barely slept. The next morning I reported everything to the dorm front desk. They checked the security cameras in the hallway outside my room. Nothing. No one had been there. No suspicious activity. The staff member told me it was probably a phone glitch. Maybe the photos had synced from somewhere online, but I knew that wasn't possible. Those photos had been taken through my window. A few days later, I noticed something else. The security camera in the hallway near my room. It had been rotated, just slightly, enough that it no longer covered the door to my room. I told the front desk. They said maintenance must have bumped it, but something about that explanation didn't feel right. 2 weeks later, I requested a room change. I didn't tell anyone the real reason. I just said the stairwell was noisy at night. Housing approved the request quickly. My new room was in a newer dorm, across campus. Different building, different floor, different everything. And after I moved, the photos stopped. The clicking sound stopped. Everything went back to normal. Eventually, I convinced myself the whole thing had been a coincidence. Maybe stress, maybe lack of sleep. Your mind can play tricks on you. A year later, during my sophomore year, the art department hosted a photography exhibition. A friend of mine had work displayed there, so I went to check it out. There were dozens of photos. Landscapes, portraits, street photography, normal things. Then I saw a picture that made my heart stop. It was my dorm room. The old one. 3rd floor. The angle was unmistakable. The photo showed me sitting at my desk, laptop open, my back to the window. Exactly like the photos that had appeared on my phone. I walked closer. Under the frame was a small printed label. Title: Night Study, Photographer, Anonymous. I asked one of the organizers who submitted it. They said the photographer requested to stay anonymous. The image had been sent digitally. No name, no contact information, just the file. I stood there staring at the photo because there was one detail I recognized immediately. The picture had been taken from a window across the courtyard, a building that faced directly toward my dorm, a building that had been closed for renovation that entire semester. To this day, I still don't know who took those photos or how they got access to that building. But sometimes I still think about that hallway, that empty corridor, and that sound. Click, late at night, right outside my door.